Hey nerds, my name is Fuzzus, and I'm somewhat hairy, and I play games. Today is scheduled to be the first Friday release, and on Friday I wanted to do a little series called Choose My Adventure, where you guys pick the game for me. The only problem being that since this is the first Friday, there's only one subscriber to my channel, and it's my other account. So, I agonized for a little while over what to play. I asked some friends for suggestions, and uh, nothing really resounded with me as appropriate or good for streaming, good for recording, or anything like that. So, as I was looking through my library, I noticed that one of the things I have in my to stream list is the Beginner's Guide, which is an adventure game that I know next to nothing about. From what I've heard, it's kind of similar to the Stanley Parable. Um, Games like that, sort of really meta and strange and interesting. And I also saw in the comments as I loaded it up that this is called that this was referred to as the sad one. So it may be emotional, but I figured that it would be a good place to start for this series since I have no suggestions at the moment. Uh, so let's start out with the beginner's guide and let's see what it's all about. So we're just gonna dive straight in. It is. Okay, sure.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So, just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Okay, this is extremely interesting. I'm looking around if you can't tell, but everything above the line and the door is just okay. All right, I'm on board for this. Let's see, status active. Oh, okay. We are in a shooter. Duly noted. Doorway here, but no.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Okay. I mean, right away you're presented with this interesting choice, right? You
can click to fire the gun.
Yeah, thanks. I got it. Oh, it doesn't make any noise. That's fine. Do I go down the regular lit hallway or this interesting golden glow? I'm gonna follow the golden glow and see. Whoa. All right. Okay, you can crouch, but the way is blocked. So let's go around this way. Okay, everything is off.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
That's an interesting...
It kind of looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin shoot evacuation.
Yeah, this transparent wall is really interesting. I've never seen something constructed quite this way. Oh, look at it left bullet holes in the transparent wall. Only on one side of it, but that's sort of a cool effect, I'm gonna admit. Oh, hey, door's open now. Space.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
He's right. Again, at first I thought that was like part of the station or ship or whatever we're in. It's not. It's just flat, gray, textureless polygon. Oh, something felt a little weird there. Like, or something. Go. Gun's out of bullets now, by the way. I'm clicking and nothing is shooting. Whatever.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. That would have been kind of...
This is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Oh, this is... Okay. I feel like I'm seeing where this headed. Also, I wonder if it's... the name of Coda is related to the musical term. Where...
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Yeah, I figured. Thanks. Okay, let's try it.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
First off, just spitballing here. Coda is the name of the designer who worked on these little games that we're being toured through. It's also a musical term for when you reach the end of something, you go back, you repeat a whole bunch of it, and then there's another section at the very end that's actually kind of the true ending. And I'm wondering if that is gonna be reference reference to what's going on here in some way. But okay, let's jump into the beams. Oh, okay. Oh, hey, the labyrinth.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Really glad I got to skip that labyrinth. Yeah, we're already seeing kind of narrative, experimental, Stanley Parable-ish stuff here. Oh, I can't move.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Only move backwards. Okay. That's super interesting. I can't stray for anything. I can only walk backwards. I mean, this is sort of how we all move through time, right? There's a great line in a Terry Pratchett book about how the trolls, the Discworld
So
trolls.
it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Right. In Terry Pratchett's Discworld novels, the trolls, the race of rock monsters, they believe that you move through time backwards because you can see where you've been, but you can't see where you're going. You can see the past, but you can't see the future. And this seems to be very similar in what, in that sort of concept. And I dig the concept. I genuinely do. So let's see how it develops. Things get a little more interesting, but there's a door there. How do we go through a door if we're walking back? Yeah, the door's gone
It's a
now.
short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Yeah, I really actually did enjoy that a lot. Uh-huh. Alright. Oh, I can follow this stone path. But it's hard to tell that's a path because of darkness.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
I am skeptical.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
I can kind of sympathize. I go through creative spurts where I work on something, and I drop it, and I never.
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
Thanks for at least saving me the time. He doesn't seem like that sort of person. I mean, the design of these games indicate that he wants you to take the path that he's set in front of you, right? At least so far, from what we've seen of his work. So, oh, I'm slowing down.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Okay. What are his ideas?
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours. This is...
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Oh, a key in one game unlocks a door in a completely set. I bet we're gonna see that. I really like that. That's really nifty. Okay. Well, in the last one, there was a game that said you start in a small room, but you can walk through walls. So just in case. Just in case. Alright. I feel like orange is significant. You're seeing orange a lot.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Is it really? I mean, there's a lever and a door. It's all wood around the outside, but... Another door. Okay, so what I'm thinking here, there's nothing else to interact with, so I feel like this is a leap of faith puzzle. I assume that when I flip this switch, the door's gonna, in front of me is gonna close slowly. Now, once it's closed, I'm not gonna be able to get back through. But once I'm through, I'm trusting that once the door is completely closed, the door on the other side will open. Because I don't see anything else to interact with. Everything else is not... So I feel like that has to be it. And I feel like this guy's the kind of designer who would reward this sort of leap of faith. So let's give it a shot. There it is. There's a switch on the other side of the door. And that's gonna
Don't
open.
forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Yeah. Commitment. Doing something even though you can't see what the result is going to be. This kind of makes sense, given what we're learning about this guy. You do it even though you don't know what's going to happen. So that's a major theme that they're trying to set up. Also very curious about those 3 dots on the wall, but who knows. I suspect we'll see that being repeated as a theme too, but moving along.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. I wonder what's on the other side. Whoa! Okay, that I did not expect. This thing is huge.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Yeah, why put all this there if you're not supposed to observe or under... Oh, hey, we're back. Okay. We're now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Now, I'm curious if this Coda's game collection, I don't know if this is just a framework for that game, The Beginner's Guide, or if the narrative that we're presented is true and, you know, Coda is an actual person, a real designer who designed all these disparate games that somehow connect together. I don't know, but I think the most important thing when you're approaching a game like this is to just be part of the experience. Do it. Follow along, do what it tells you. Explore, but these games
Let's
are...
talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Anyway, as I was saying earlier, these games all have a point. They have a direction, a message that they want you to see. There's a purpose behind them, in that you might not see. They're trying to teach you something or show you something. They're not just out to entertain you. They're not just out to for you to have fun killing zombies or solving puzzles. Or there's a point. They're literary works, basically. I'm curious about these too, but I don't know if that's just regular assets. The Streetwise Fool. There's a door there that I've opened up, but I don't want to go in and it bugs the hell out of me that there's a staircase here that goes to this door, and this door doesn't open. I mean, the angle that you approach this house from, you see this staircase very prominently. So the game is directing you up here to go look at it, but there's nothing there. Okay, yeah, go figure. The rest of the house is blank and featureless. Oh, there's a door on the side here. Oh, see, you got that orange sticking out from underneath. But can't get into it. That's probably actually visible from the door on the inside, so let's go around and check it. Okie dokie. Go. Oh. I like the light. Whoa, okay. Can I jump? Yeah, I can jump. We got a little platformer going on. Fine. Sure. At least make it to this orange. because, you know, orange is apparently something. Okay. Okay. See that I'm so well trained by other video games, expecting falling damage, but there's not even a concept like health that we've been introduced to just yet. I could probably just leap and plummet all the way down, but I want to follow the shapes. I want to walk the path that they've put in front of me. Now, I want to emphasize, I have never played this game before. I have heard only the vaguest of things about it. I have heard that it's very sad. But it is something worth. Oh, there I go. Okay. Yeah, but basically, I want to emphasize, this is the first time experiencing it, so you all are seeing my reaction as is. I can't jump. I can jump down from the giant abstract shapes, but I can't jump from this staircase to the floor. All right. I guess there's like a little. Okay. Right about the blocky. Huh. Stairs here to a blank wall and ground here to a wall. Maybe looking for so important. I heard it, but I didn't. Feels very like cattle stockyardy, prison-y, definitely. Okay, so I am being guided. Guided in here. Of course, it closed behind me. That was expected. Okay, yeah. Okay, and it won't let. So, on we go.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
I appreciate that.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Yeah, that seems about right. That's the kind of statement that I would expect this guy to make. It's games without meaning. Look, games are fun. I love games. If you're watching this, you love games, I'm sure. We love to play games, and they're a ton of fun. But Coda is pushing the idea of games as literal art. He feels that games should have a point, and that point should be what's evoked in the player when they play it. It's not the act of playing the game, it's not what you do in the game, it's how the game makes you feel as you're going. The things you see, the experiences that you have, the meaning is internal, not external. It comes from within you, it's not delivered by the game itself. It's not some lesson that they hammer into you through the dialogue or something like that. It's teaching you things that you already know. There's those dots again. You have anything to say about them? Not yet. You will.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Yep. Commit to it. Push through. Have faith. Faith in the designer, actually. But
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
no, there's a clear indication. It's a level of trust in the designer. When you pull that lever that makes that door close and you step through it and you see the door on the other side, you are trusting that the designer, that you understand that there's a person behind these games, a person creating these games, right? And you are trusting when you step through that door that that person isn't just going to shove you into this box that you can't get out of, right? You've entered into a contract as the game designer and the game player, and you are honoring that contract by saying, okay, I trust you. That's my interpretation, but let's see. Pretty cloud texture. Not a great cloud texture, but pretty in this room. The orange here is more of an intense red. And what that means. The colors, I'm sure there's something with the colors. But let's press on further. Okay.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
I was most impressed by the floating color blocks, so I will say that. Yeah, of course it is. I mean, obviously none of these dialogue choices are stuff that I have to say. And there's no way to, like, show them how I did it here. So we'll just say someone else let me in. Kinda true. Okay. Oh, hey. Same guys? Different guys? Or the same. Yeah. You wanna know how to solve it? I mean, yeah, it's there. Don't think too hard about it. The entire game is about thinking too hard. I really hope that the sound levels are good for them.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
I'm really enjoying this, and the genuine feeling of it, and relaying that to an audience in first time. And I hope that I don't have to re-record this. I don't think I can. If the audio isn't right, or for whatever reason this video doesn't work out, then yeah, I can't do this again. There wouldn't be a point. Oh, hey, there's a lamppost.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, And maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer. So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it, that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me, that I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Bubbles. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna eat all of them, probably. Sailors are looking. I'm guessing that's an in joke. Right, sure, of course. He does a really good job of filtering the internet through his own individual mind. Obviously, wait. I'm being told I can't open that door, but I haven't tried. Yeah, okay, can't open that door. Oh. That's actually really pretty. I don't hear chimes, in case y'all were wondering. I'm feeling that that was a genuine message right there. I do really like it. Pretty. But this intrigues me. Take my hand, let's jump together. It won't let you. I was ready to, but I'm being stay on the path. I'm sorry, I can't cast these things. There's no way to leave your own note, in case you hadn't realized. Even though it says at the beginning that you can, I don't think you. I don't see it. Here. Okay. No, it's bubbly. Great art. Hanging, help him trying to speak. I see from up close and perfect from far away. Well, that's an interesting interpretation, especially if we're looking at game design. It's part of building the illusion. There, right? You present something, and there are moving parts behind what you present. It's the theater curtains with the mechanisms behind it that let people fly and disappear into the ground and all that sort of. Cabbage shapes our nation again. I saw that one earlier. Doesn't mean we wall all die someday. True. With typo correction. Whoever made this has issues. Yeah. About how this game is pretentious and you all suck. Okay, there's maybe some pretentious. Yeah, sure. But there's more to it than pretentiousness. I think that they're trying to express some big ideas. And that's okay. Sometimes it's fun to express big ideas. Interpret them. Pretentiousness isn't necessarily a bad thing. Doing it all the time. Devil Tower Star, I saw that one too. Okay, but we are pushing 45 minutes here, so I am just gonna end right now looking at this picture. Oh, that's sort of a auspicious quote to end on. But yeah, so I'm just gonna leave this right here for the beginner's guide. This has been extremely interesting, and I would love to continue. I may do this as another part. I'm not sure how long the game. But I'm going to stop here. I will play no further until I am recording again. I may come back to it as soon as next Friday, or it may come back down the line, but I definitely do want to revisit it. It ends. Alright, thank you guys for watching.